G'day guys, I just thought I'd do an update for the Thylacine mid-tech knife project that we're doing. Mainly just to give an update on where things are at the project, and also just to show off the changes between the first prototype and the second prototype. So here we have the first prototype, from that, there was a lot of good feedback that I got at the Sydney International Cutlery Show there, and some of that I already knew what I wanted to change, which just kind of reinforced in my mind the need to do the second prototype and introduce some of those design elements just to make it a little bit better of a knife. The main ones in the handle is just moving this standoff up and introducing a lanyard hole. No real benefit aside from having a lanyard hole for that, but the one based on my own experience and a lot of feedback was just to introduce a little bit of clearance for the lock bar here, just to make it easier to open and close. In the first one, I mean, I've added it in here as well, but in the first one it was just a little bit difficult to get your hand in there. So I thought, that's made a huge difference in the usability, so that was kind of the first thing. The second thing that we wanted to test out was I just used what steel I had on hand in here, and the thickness between the two blades, this was just way too thick. Trying to cut things, it just ends up very difficult with a blade like this. You could batten, I guess, and things like that, but not that I'd recommend battening with a folding knife, but I just found it just way too thick to handle, cutting tasks, basically. This one here with the thinner blade, just slicing or getting through cardboard boxes and things like that, it's just so much easier. So that's one of the big things from testing cutting with my own things, my own testing methods, was to reduce the thickness of the blade. The second thing was we can't do a hand sand finish for hundreds of knives. So this was to test how the Cerakote blade would go, and see if the Cerakote thickness made any difference to the functioning of the knife and things like that. And if you actually look, if we can see it, you can't really see it, but the Cerakote actually gets worn off quite quickly where the bearings rub. So really it just comes back to the final thickness anyway. So that was that. The Cerakote finish is one of the finishes. We'll probably end up offering a stonewash finish as well. I quite like the Cerakote, but the stonewash is nice. So it won't make a difference to the final price, I don't think, anyway. So the main things in the blade to show the differences was this one in the CAD model looked great, but I hadn't modeled the bevel on the blade, and when it came out, the blade just seemed really short compared to the knife. So looking at it, we ended up, if I put them down side by side or on top of each other, we reduced the thickness of this flipper tab, and that meant that I could take this plunge back further towards the handle. If you look at the difference there, it's probably almost a centimetre worth of extra blade length, and on top of that, the actual looking at how it fits in the handle, if we close it up, this one is quite short in the handle, so there was extra room for me to lengthen the blade. So overall, we've added over a centimetre of blade length, and it's made a big difference to the looks of the knife, but that adds to the functionality of the knife as well. So a few people mentioned the recurve, so we've straightened that out as well. Some like people are very divided, I guess, on on whether recurve is good or bad. So it certainly makes it easy, my job easier to sharpen it if it doesn't have the recurve. So yeah, we've taken that out as well. But aside from that, that's the main design changes. Where the project is now is talking to different manufacturing companies or engineering companies, I guess, for the CAD work, the CNC work rather. And each of them, they've got their own ideas of how they want to hold down each part, basically. So it's talking to a couple of those, figuring out how they want to hold down the material, if there's any changes that need to be made, or add hold down tabs or anything like that for the CAD models. And it's really where it's at the moment is just waiting for them to get back to me. And once we've figured out those changes, we can pick someone to go with and come up with the final price. Because one method might be quite involved with the amount of work that someone needs to do to screw it all down in place versus doing it on just one run on the machine. If you've got 2 runs on the machine, you've got to unscrew everything and then swap tooling plates, or move all the parts to a different tooling plate and screw it back down again. So that's going to add cost. So we're just figuring out the best method at the moment for a cost-effective way to machine the titanium parts and the blade parts. So that's where it's at the moment. Once all that is sorted out, I'll be able to give you guys a final price, and then hopefully we've got enough numbers. There's certainly been enough interest in the project that the numbers are encouraging, that's for sure. So once we have that in place, then we're good to go. We start ordering materials and getting everything in place for doing the production run. So hopefully that has kept you guys up to date. And yeah, if you've got any questions, I can put up a FAQ or something like that about where things are at. But thanks for watching.